So here's 5 key numbers you need to consider when you're purchasing a property. Okay, so let's talk about the numbers when purchasing properties, because when it comes to buying a property, there are loads of them. Yield, ROI, ROCE, cash on cash, gross, net. It's no wonder so many new investors get completely overwhelmed. You start running deal calculators, spreadsheets, and before you know it, you've got 15 different figures in front of you and no idea which one actually matters. I get it, I've been there myself, I've done it all before. When you're starting out, it can feel like you're drowning in numbers, and that's usually when people start overthinking instead of taking action. So in this video, I'm going to make it simple. There are 5 key numbers that truly matter when appraising any property deal. 5 numbers that will determine every other figure on your spreadsheet. Forget about yield, ROI, ROCE for now. If you can master these 5, you'll understand exactly what makes a deal stack and what doesn't. So there are 5 key numbers you need to know on every single deal. Number 1, the current value. Number 2, the purchase price. Number 3, the refurb cost. Number 4, the rent. The most important one is the end value. Everything else, profit, ROI, refinance figures, all come from these 5 numbers. Now, let me show you the order I personally use when running these numbers, because this order is where most people might go wrong. So number 1, you need to start with the end value. You might think, why am I starting with the end value first? Well, because you always want to work backwards in property. If you don't know what the property is going to be worth at the end, once you've done your renovation to it, how can you possibly know what to pay at the start? Your profit margin, your exit strategy, whether it's a flip, whether it's a BRR deal, whether you're just buying, holding and taking the yield, all that comes into account afterwards. So you need to start there. You need to start with the end value. Look at local sold comparables, check the street, the condition, figure out what that property will be worth after a renovation. That number becomes the most important number in your deal calculator. Number 2, refurb cost and fees. Once you've got your end value, you need to take off everything it will cost you to get there. That includes the refurb, your builder, your PM fee, the materials, the contingency, legal fees, any bridging or finance costs. You're basically saying if it's going to be worth X at the end and it's going to cost me Y to get there, what is left? That's your gross margin before your profit. Then you decide what profit margin or ROI you want from the deal. If it's a flip, maybe you want 20, 30, 40 grand profit. If it's a BRR deal, maybe you're happy just leaving 5 or 10 or 15 grand in the deal. This vital step, understanding the refurb, understanding the fees, knowing how to account for them in your numbers, this is what separates you knowing what you're doing from an amateur that doesn't really know what they're doing. Number 3 is the current value. Now, you know what it will be worth, you know what it's going to cost to get there, you can figure out what the current value probably is. Yes, you can use online comparables, Rightmove sold prices, Zoopla, home report values, one survey, etc. But when you've already worked out your end value and your refurb, you can estimate a realistic current value quite quickly. It helps you avoid overpaying because you're analysing the deal logically, not emotionally. Number 4 is now the purchase price. What are you looking to pay? Now, this is where most people start, and that's a mistake. You can't decide what you're going to pay until you know the numbers above, especially your end value. When you've worked out your end value, refurb, profit target, that tells you exactly what you can afford to pay. This is where your deal criteria comes in. If it's a flip, you want more margin, so you'll probably offer less. If it's a BRR, you might offer a little bit more, because you're focused on recycling your money, holding the asset for long term, taking the cash flow, not pulling out a big chunk of profit from that flip deal. But whatever it is, your purchase price should never be emotional. It should always be based purely on what the numbers are telling you and what your criteria is, what your strategy is. And number 5, and finally, the rent. If you're holding the property, this is what's going to keep your deal alive. It's your cash flow. Do your due diligence, check Rightmove, OpenRent, phone local letting agents, find out what properties in that area, in that condition, are actually renting for. It's no good just assuming the rent and guessing the rent. You need to be realistic. If the rent's for $750, don't base your numbers on $800, $850, $900. Remember, the rent combined with your mortgage and costs will determine your true monthly cash flow. And remember, taking into account all your refinance costs as well. This is going to give you a cash flow figure if you get a really good deal calculator as well. So just to round up, there are loads of numbers flying about in property. Again, ROI, yield, ROCE, cash on cash, but none of these really matter that much, especially initially when you're appraising a deal. If you don't understand these numbers first, the current value, the purchase price, the refurb cost, the rent and the end value, everything else comes from those numbers. If you can master these 5 and learn to work backwards, you'll have confidence in every other offer you make, and you'll know exactly what makes a deal stack for you. Always start with your end value, then work your way down through the refurb, the value, the price, the rent. That's how professionals really appraise the deal in my experience. That's how I was taught, that's how I've always done it, and I buy logically, not emotionally, because property investing isn't emotional, it's mathematical. Get the numbers right and everything else falls into place. So if you've found this video helpful and you want to learn more about how to analyse deals properly, why don't you join the Property Coaching Network? It's £59 a month, you can cancel anytime. It's one of Scotland's leading property investment communities. We teach this stuff all the time, we talk about it in the WhatsApp group. There's also bi-weekly calls, deal breakdowns, there's project meetups, there's quarterly events all included. Real examples and proper support from people who are actually doing this day in, day out. So I'm David Smart, thanks very much for watching. Click the subscribe button and I will see you next video. Cheers.